Welcome to another fireside chat. Today I want to just talk about a topic I've done before, but not necessarily on this playlist of the fireside chat, the vlog. But it's very important, and maybe you saw by the headline and you're thinking, wait a second, you saved money on your commissions. Yeah, it is actually something that can be done and should be done. Now, is it always possible? No. But the one thing that I know you may be thinking, and I'm not calling you stupid for thinking it because it's actually a very rational and logical thought is, but Clay, I know there's brokers out there that don't have any fees at all. So why would I pay a commission? Why would I even care about saving a commission? I'll just not pay anything at all. Fair point. And I would say, well, it depends. Some strategies, mine in particular, you need to have a broker that pays. Now, that would be great if someday a broker showed up that would allow me to implement my strategy in a zero fee type of way. However, that just doesn't exist right now, and I highly doubt that ever does. So yeah, if you're not, trying to trade in a way that would require the tool of a broker that is going to charge, then yeah, this video doesn't necessarily pertain to you. But if you are looking to get into more so the day trading and that nature of the market, then you're going to need what is the first part of all this, a direct access broker. And direct access brokers are not going to be what you usually see for commercials on TV, as far as Schwab, Fidelity, E-Trade, things like that. And direct access brokers, they do charge fees, yes, but they are very, very minimal. And you can also get savings, meaning you can have money paid back to you for if you trade certain types of ways, which I'm going to get into. And what really kind of, like I said, I've talked about this topic before. I think I have both a blog with a B article and another video on the channel. But sometimes those get buried, so I wanted to bring it back up. And people clearly don't really see them because every now and then I'll get a comment on one of my live trade videos that's like, oh yeah, that's really cool you made that, but what about the fees? It's like, this guy sucks. Look at it, he made that amount, but how come he's not telling us how much fees he paid? And it's like, all right, again, I don't know if you should show up and start calling people names when you don't understand the context, which those people clearly don't. But to be fair to them, I can see how that would, how that thought would have popped in their head. But again, acting on that thought without full context, I think there's quotes out there about that's what would make somebody foolish. But we won't go down that path. But so yeah, how can it actually be possible, especially if you watch my trade videos where I do a whole bunch of trades, and you're thinking, wow, from what I see on TV, that's like $4.95 a trade. 5, 10, 15, 20. Oh, wow, he just had like $80 in trades. And he only made $150. Well, geez, the math's not making sense. I get it. So what I want to talk about here is, remember, step one, direct access broker. You need to have a direct access broker or else none of this really matters. But again, if you do want to get in the markets as a day trader, as somebody that's trading quite often, if you do want to get in the markets, from options or things like that, then yeah, you are going to want to have a direct access broker. It would be great if one of these, zero fee brokers allowed you to trade in and out of stocks as quick as what you would need to. But if you think that you're going to get, some sort of zero commission broker that has a phone app and you're going to be some sort of like high-paced day trader, you're living in fantasy land. That's not how it works. So like I said, at some points, yeah, you just have to pay, and it's worth it to pay. I suppose you could try to, day trade in a very high, like I do, for example, from your phone, but you're going to learn very quickly. Yeah, it's definitely worth paying because what I just lost out on because I couldn't operate quickly enough was a whole lot more than what those fees would have been to get in and out as quickly as I should have been able to. So with that all aside and making sure we're on the same page, direct access broker. And then there's a couple lingo words out there, and I'm gonna go to my desktop here in a second and I'll show you everything. But it's removing liquidity and adding liquidity. And what is going to depend on removing or adding liquidity is the location at where you either buy or sell. So depending on location, that is going to tell you if you are adding or removing liquidity. If you are adding liquidity to the situation, you're going to get paid, which turns into, well, in some situations, and I'll actually link that article below, you can actually make money in a literal sense. You can walk away ahead after the transaction is done. In other situations, which I'll show here in just a second, yeah, you're not coming out ahead, but you are, as the title of this video said, I saved 33% over the entire month on commissions because I was adding liquidity. Now, in other situations, though, if you are removing liquidity, then that is where you are paying. You have to pay actually a little bit more on top of what the normal base fee would be. Now, these base fees are going to vary, but they're very small. But still, if you choose to, so that's the trade-off. If you're just out there always removing liquidity, and we'll get to that in a second, like I said, then yeah, your commissions and fees are going to be higher. Now, does that mean you break the bank? No, I'm not saying that. But it's not like no matter what, you get a direct access broker and wow, now I'm saving money. I'm getting paid to trade. No, it does depend on the location of where you're buying or selling. So with that, let's go to my desktop. Welcome to my desktop here. So let's just hop right into it. Before I go any further though, when I say bid, when I say ask, when I say level twos, if that sounds like a foreign language to you, then really you're getting a little bit too far ahead of yourself and you have other things that you need to learn about. I don't say that in a condescending way. I mean, we all start off as new, but if you have no idea when I say bid and ask and level two, wait, what do you, that's fine. Just understand that you need to go and research those things more before you start thinking at all about getting involved with a direct access broker. So just reminder now, if you know exactly what I mean by bid, ask, level two, then let's keep going. Now remember, kind of as the umbrella policy here, in order for this to all be possible, you need that direct access broker. So I want to kind of break things down in different ways here, but we'll go through every single kind of possibility, and I will leave a little time at the end if you want to take a screenshot, because I realize if you're brand new and not to this concept and not aware that it existed, then yeah, maybe I'll go a little too fast here. But let's just start with the action of what we're buying. And then the second key part here is, okay, well, where are you buying? Where is the location of the buy? If you are buying on the bid, then what is that doing as far as the liquidity is concerned? Well, that would be considered adding liquidity. And when you add liquidity, the result of that, as far as your results are going to be concerned, is you are saving money. And I am going to show an image when we go back to my desk, and you'll see a previous month's worth of results, and you'll see what I mean by that savings. But that is the result. If you buy on the bid, you are adding liquidity, and therefore your broker will pay you, which equates in overall savings. Now, what about the other side of things? So once again, buying, however, the location is at the ask. In this situation, you are removing liquidity, and when you remove liquidity, you have to pay a little bit more on top of your normal broker fees. Now, it's not going to make or break you, but it is going to be a little bit more because you're buying at the ask, you're removing, and the result is you need to pay a bit more. What about selling? Well, if you're selling on the bid, then you are removing liquidity. And you should know where this is headed. When you are removing liquidity, the result of that is, yes, you do need to pay a little bit more. And then finally, if you're selling at the ask, then in this situation, you are adding liquidity. And once more, when you are adding liquidity, that is where you are getting savings. So like I said, if you do want to take a screenshot here, I'll give a few moments and then we'll go back to my desk. I hope you liked my PowerPoint skills, but let's get to kind of a real life example here. Again, there is that link down below that you can click where I literally made money trading because with the way that was set up, I walked ahead because my broker paid me more than what I paid in fees, so I came out net positive. But as I'm going to show up on the screen here, these are my results from a previous month. And I chose this month because there is a whole lot of commissions that were generated. So it's kind of a situation where it really does go to show you just the power of having a direct access broker and then adding liquidity within your strategy. So right in that middle column, you can see total commission of $1,081.93. So that is what I paid in commissions. And then right next door, you have the regulatory fees, and you can see that was at $83.99. And then you have the total fee cost. And notice how that number is actually a negative. The first two, commission and then the fees, were positive numbers, but the total fee cost is a negative number, meaning that is how much my broker paid me for adding liquidity. So based on the location of where I was selling and buying, I was adding liquidity. And after the whole month was done, I actually added it in the form of $376. And to me, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a nice bonus that your broker is going to give you for helping to add liquidity to the market, which is what keeps the market essentially orderly. If everybody was looking to remove liquidity, then that presents problems. And I have a video coming, I think we did the calculation like 4 months from now, where I'll go more into that. So for you long-term viewers, then maybe you'll get mad at me 4 months from now saying, Clay, I already saw that fireside chat. What are you talking about again? Then you know what? If that is you, then I thank you for watching all my videos, because if you're still watching 4 months from now, awesome. But let's get to the next part of this, which is, okay, well, how much are they paying you? And that's kind of the secondary thing is it does vary. There's different routing fees that exist out there, and routing just means what market maker, what ECN is actually going out there to execute the transaction for you. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. That's probably a sign that you're just a little on the newer side, and you have many other bridges to cross before you would ever get to, using some sort of, online or direct access broker here. But there are differences between how much somebody would pay you or what it may cost you if you remove liquidity. So this is just a screenshot here that I want to show that's going to just kind of dictate the differences. So over the top there, you see, the equity routing fees, and then the venue is just simply the market maker, whatever you want to call it, that is going to go out there and execute the transaction for you. And the key one here is ARCA. Notice all those other options have parentheses around them. That means it's going to cost you money. Just in accounting, when you have parentheses, that would imply negative. However, ARCA, that bottom one, has 0.002 with no parentheses, meaning whenever you add liquidity, hence the add liquidity column, you're getting paid 0.002 per share. I get it, 0.002. What does that matter? Well, that's why I wanted to show you the month. It actually added up to $373 or 76 or whatever that was, or it added up to 33% savings. I mean, I'll take 33% savings on my commission because a penny saved is a penny earned. So that just means really I earned 33% more relative to the commissions than what I paid. That's a good return on investment for just adding liquidity to the situation. So just be aware of it. That does exist out there, and it's something that you need to be aware of. And if you want to take advantage of it, maybe the big problem with your strategy is right now is you're so bent on, I don't want to pay any fees. Did you ever consider that maybe if you paid a little bit of fees, you'd be able to just get in and out of things that much quicker, which in the long run is actually going to save you money, because if you can't operate the way you need to operate within a strategy, then that's going to cost you way more money than any sort of minimal fees like a direct access broker would charge you. So maybe that's what you should be considering. But regardless, if you do get into a direct access broker, then yeah, just make sure and always work. I'm not saying you have to add liquidity. If your strategy works best and you're coming out green by always removing liquidity, then stick with that. But I'm saying this does exist in the market, and this is exactly how, when I'm making a bunch of trades on my live trade videos where the fees aren't just totally eating my lunch or anything like that, because I'm using the proper broker, and then I'm also adding liquidity to the situation, which is, as you just saw, is leading me to some savings, and I'll definitely take a 33% return on my commissions, because that was an extra $376 in my pocket. I can think of a lot of things to do with an extra 376. So hopefully this helps and you're aware of it. Like I said, check out the link below if you're watching this on the site itself. I guess if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put in the description box. But you'll see that in that situation, I literally actually came out ahead, which is pretty interesting and I think blows a lot of people's minds. But that also will go over how to add and remove liquidity and what all that means. And hopefully I've opened your mind a little bit if you were not aware of all this. If you are out there trading alone currently and maybe are in the market looking for a community to join to assist you in your trading or to just help you, give you another set of eyeballs, then I do have a private trading community where you can trade alongside me and other experienced traders. So what you see popping up on the screen right now is both an information link. So if you click on the inner circle one, that is going to take you to the page where I explain all the details of what exactly come with the community, both the chat room and the newsletter. And then the other image that has popped up is a behind the scenes tour where you can see exactly what is going to be contained within the community. I take you through, like I said, a behind the scenes tour of everything, and that way you'll know precisely what you are getting when you join. So definitely check that stuff out if you are interested and thinking about wanting to join a community, and let me know if you have any questions.